Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully your favorite official content creator for the First Descendant. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to work on the Smithereens. Now that being said, I am not 100% confident in this build, so if you guys think that you have a better build than what I have, please feel free to share it. I would love to take your feedback on board. I'd love to try it out, okay? But this is the way I've built it, all right? I'm going to go through that in a second. And of course, I will showcase the effectiveness against most of the hard mode bosses. Theoretically, I can take on Defiler with this, but it's not that fast with Glay. And yeah, it just doesn't seem ideal, at least for me. So I will focus on showcasing the other bosses to you guys. And then if you really want to fight Defiler with it, then I hope your technique is better than mine, because quite frankly, using Ines is the most efficient, and like using Glay, I could get around 1 minute if I sort of dodged everything perfectly, but it just was kind of a pain. Anyway, let's get into it. All right. Oh, and if you haven't already registered me as your creator, please make sure you do so. The more people that do, the more I can do for you. All right, let's get started. Let's begin by talking about the base stats of the Smithereens. Now, for the rolls, all you need to do is pay attention to what has these increase numbers on it. It'll tell you weapon option, but I'll go through weapon options separately after. Okay, so let's do this. Firearm attack. All right, I've got a weapon option on it. The base firearm attack is 14,562. So mine is now about 16,294. Shell capacity is 10. This is the number of pellets that are fired per shot. The fire rate is 150, rounds per magazine 15, reload time 1.6 seconds. Critical rate is 1%, but this doesn't matter because of the unique ability. I'll go through that later. The firearm critical hit damage, though, is pretty poor. It's only got a 1.1 times multiplier, and with the weapon option that I have, it goes up to 1.2. And if you were to think about the unique ability as well, the unique ability should add to the base of this, which then gets further multiplied. So I'll go through that a bit later, but effectively you end up at like 1.3, 1.4-ish. The attribute is burst for this weapon, standard. Attribute status trigger effect is 1.67, but considering the number of pellets you fire and the number of shots you can fire with Glaze build, you basically, it doesn't matter. You can still trigger attributes even though it's such a low trigger rate. Okay, weak point multiplier is also 1 times, which is really bad, but we'll be adjusting this with mods. The accuracy is 16 for hip fire, 31 for aim shot accuracy, and quite frankly, the accuracy is abysmal. So don't expect this to be an accurate weapon in any way, shape, or form. The effective range for this weapon is horrendous as well. 7 meters, so you have to be right up close to your target, which I will demonstrate anyway. And the maximum damage drop-off range is 20 meters. So this makes it impossible to actually use it in a lot of combat situations. At least for the Abyss style, because you have to be right up close, and sometimes that's not where you want to be. All right, so I generally don't like the effective range on shotguns, but a lot of people have been asking me to build this thing, so I built it anyway. And like I said, if you've got a better build, please share it with me. Okay, effective range, the final range is 20 meters, but the attack drop-off goes from 100% all the way down to 10%, so 0.1 times. And that means that you lose 90% of your damage in between 7 meters to 20 meters, so you have to be right up close to the Colossus in order to actually deal any damage at all. All right, so be very aware of this. You have to be right up in their face. All right. The max range on this weapon is 150 meters, but if you're firing at 150 meters, you're going to deal like 10% of your damage, which is trash. Movement speed is 500 when you're not aiming down sights. Movement speed while firing is 320, while aiming 230. Sprint speed is, because I have options on this thing, 896. The base is obviously 800, as it always is. I've rolled electric attack on this. There's a recoil modifier and bonus firearm attack versus Colossus. Okay. For the actual weapon rolls, I went with firearm attack, firearm critical hit damage, and bonus firearm attack versus Colossus. I made all these gold. The electric attack I happen to roll as my 4th stat, and I couldn't think of any better roll to put on it because all the multipliers on this weapon sucked. So the only other thing that I might have put on there is weak point damage to squeeze out a little bit more, but electric attack worked fine, so I just left it there. All right, now, last but not least, let's go into the unique ability before we go into the modules. Let's talk about it. Okay, for the unique ability, and sorry, I'm kind of phasing out of reality here because here we go. Green screen is not that great. So You will see me phase in the afternoons. Anyway, the unique ability of the Smithereens is called Fearlessness. When you hit an enemy with all fired bullets, it will increase the firearm critical hit rate and critical hit damage of the attack. The critical hit rate is fixed at 100%, so this is why it doesn't matter that the base critical rate is 1%. This thing will just guarantee a crit. And the firearm critical hit damage is plus 10. This is a very weird statement, but I believe it means plus 10%. So that means it's adding 10% additive to the base, and the base being 1.1 times, you get your base instead becomes 1.2, all right, when you land all bullets. However, there's also another thing whereby if you land a critical hit on an enemy, it grants you the firearm's unique ability Amplification. Amplification lasts for 2 seconds and increases your shell capacity by 4. This is effectively an increase of 40% in terms of your damage, because what you're seeing for the firearm attack is per pellet. Okay, your attacks will deal this damage 10 times, because that's how many pellets are fired, right? So with this, you deal 14. You have 14 pellets, and it's additive to the base. This is important because when you go into the modules here, okay, you'll be using shell up. This improves the number of pellets by 33%. What does that mean? When you have 10 pellets, 33% means that you're firing effectively 3 pellets, assuming a round down system, so 13 pellets, right? When you've got 14, okay, if you were to take 14, now I can just do this on the calculator off screen, it's very simple, 14 times 1.33, you effectively get 18 pellets. I don't know if they round up. If they do round up, you're going to get 19 pellets, which is fantastic because it ends up at something like 18.62 or whatever. But either way, you're getting more bang for your buck with shell up. So having this really helps out in improving your damage. Now, you also want rifling reinforcement, action and reaction. These are pretty standard. Again, these are the best ways to buff up your damage. You've got better concentration and concentration priority to increase your critical multipliers. With this, your critical hit damage multiplier will at least reach close to 2 times. All right. I know it says 1.882 here, but this does not include the weapon option as well as the unique effect. So it should at least reach 2 times. You want to have fire rate up to improve your fire rate because you're going to use this with Glay. There is a general build, but I'm just going to show you the Glay build because I don't feel that this weapon would work on other characters. Except maybe Enzo, I guess, because you're going to chew through your ammo pretty quickly. All right, so I'm just going to be real with you about that. Fire rate up is here. If you guys really want the general work build, you can ask for it, and I can make a separate video or whatever, or just do a YouTube short, but I really don't think it'll work there. Anyway, sorry for the constant interruptions. Coming back to it, fire rate up, real life fighter. Although this decreases your accuracy, the fact of the matter is that your accuracy is so terrible anyway that this decrease doesn't really affect you. So you want to have this because you're going to be right up close, and if you can hit the kneecaps or any other weak point, with this, you are going to drastically increase your firearm attack. So real life fighter is the general choice. I like to have this. Then you want to have targeted vulnerability and weak point sight. These two, although their weak spot multiplier is literally 1 times, therefore you're not getting as much value out of this, take note that your firearm attack is multiplied by your critical hit damage, and then this is multiplied by your weak point damage. So this is a separate multiplier that you can include. However, you also want at least 1 slot where you can include the elemental attack. But the big problem with including the elemental attack is this. Unfortunately, the elemental attack is not multiplied by your weak spot multiplier. So some people choose to go a different pathway. Rather than go down the elemental attack and weak spot, they prefer to go elemental attack and try to stack some elemental bonuses. I found that didn't work for me, but if it does work for you and you can achieve better results than me, please let me know, okay? I'm always open-minded. All right. That being said, for the elemental slot, you are going to have to catalyze it multiple times. I just put in 3 different elements. There's one element that I don't have, and that is Rutile for Toxic. Okay, I've got Xantic for Electric, Almandine for Fire, and the Cerulean for Chill. These are the most major ones because the only one that's weak to Toxic, I believe, is the Executioner. I don't believe we've got any other electric bosses in the Void Intercept for now. So you should not need a Rutile slot for Toxic Enhancement. All right, so this is what I've got, and this is what I'm using. The multipliers aren't that great, but the damage is actually fantastic considering, like I said, how many pellets are being shot. Even these small multipliers increase your damage by quite a bit. So, okay, ladies and gents, you're seeing a video cut because, and you'll probably hear me moan about it at the end of the video, but I totally forgot to cover weapon cores, which is a crucial part of the system right now. So these are the weapon core augments that I have. For the Smithereens, it comes with a free augmentation, firepower augmentation, 2 precision augmentations, and 1 special augmentation. Special augmentation you don't have to care about since you're not going to be using this for mobbing. If you do want to use it for mobbing, then choose the Legion you're going to fight against. The free augmentation I used to get even more firepower. I put, because its base multipliers aren't high, so I looked for bonus firearm attack versus Colossus. I've got the same here. Of course, eventually I want to get a 290% roll, but that didn't come out yet, so I went with 280, 270, and it's okay for now. For my precision augmentation, I happen to get a gold recoil, which I find very, very useful on shotguns because they do have quite a bit of recoil. If you find you don't need this, then go for more sprint speed, which will help you reach the Colossi faster and, you know, stay in contact with the Colossi a little bit more. I've got sprint speed 12% here, though, and this, to me, is good enough. Eventually, I'll replace it with whatever's in the rank 10 core. All right? So that's what I did for the weapon cores for this. The idea of boosting the firearm attack versus Colossus is because if you look at the weapon itself, okay, I'll show you this right now. The bonus firearm attack versus Colossus is 3,468 versus the base firearm attack, which is 14,562. Okay, if you were to take a calculator right now and multiply 14,562, all right, by the maximum amount, which is 34%. So you multiply that by 34%, okay, what you're going to end up with is 4,951. But if you were to take the Colossus figure, assuming you rolled it here, the bonus of 280% and 270% applies to the bonus firearm attack that you rolled for Colossus. So 3,468. If we just do a point-on-point comparison, 3,468 multiplied by even the lowest multiplier of 270% would give you 9,363. Whereas with firearm attack power at 34%, you're only going to get 4,900. Although that would be more useful against general targets, you really want to stack the bonus firearm attack versus Colossus if you're going to use this as a bossing weapon. And since this is a bossing weapon, that's what I chose to do for my cores. Okay? Yeah, so one last time, let me go through it again, just for good measure. You want to get 2 bonus firearm attacks versus Colossus. Try to roll gold rolls if you can. 290 is obviously going to be awesome. For your precision augmentations, at least one should be sprint speed 12%. If you can, the other one, choose based on your needs. I went with recoil because I find it very useful on guns like this. And special augmentation, you don't have to care about. Okay, so that's it for the weapon core. Make sure you get it on your weapon because it's quite worth it. Okay, enjoy, fam. A bit. So now you guys have seen the build. You understand what I've done with it. You're going to have to use it with Glaze gun build, which literally has not changed since time immemorial. All right, this is Glaze gun build. Pretty standard stuff. Okay. Now,
I am analyzing the void paradox.
Let's demonstrate what the Smithereens can do in actual combat. First and foremost, I'm going to demonstrate it against these last 4 bosses. I'm going to exclude the Defiler because, again, if you can handle it, by all means, but I cannot. And I think it is not worthwhile. All right? So we'll start with, we'll start with electric rounds. Okay, because the first enemy that I'm going to take on is the Obstructor. Okay, and Molten Fortress and Gluttony have unique ways of, have some pretty unique ways of being dealt with, so you will have to know the methodology, and I'll demonstrate the methodology to you guys in this video. So pay attention to those 2, but the rest of the other 2, it's okay. All right. When the match starts with Glay, here's what you do. First, you want to drain your hit points down. I usually drain myself below 10,000. Why? Because I am very lazy with the inversion reinforcer. The only thing I really change is the elements, all right? And I'm very lazy with the inversion reinforcer, so I don't like to change any of the other stuff. And for that reason, I feel it's better to leave the recovery heightened sensory cells on, which means that I will recover a little bit of health when I'm near the Colossus, all right? I try to go up high, and I'll target a weak spot so I can do that. And once it's on its knees, there you go. All right? You see how quick that is? One phase, easy peasy. As long as you knock it down, you'll be able to just shoddy the hell out of them. Okay, so there you go. There's the Obstructor dead with the Smithereens. No problem, easy peasy. You know, nothing fantastic. Let's move on to the next one. And I'm just grabbing these Amorphous because, obviously, you know, if I can get a few extra Catalyst blueprints even while shooting a video, why not, right? I need to use a lot of them for testing these builds. I believe next on my list is the Restored Relic, and then somebody wanted me to test Excava, so all that's coming soon. I'll try and work on it this week as much as I can, so look forward to it. Okay, go again. All right, next battle is going to be the Frostwalkers. So how do you deal with Frostwalker? Plain and simple, you are going to switch the inversion reinforcer to fire, okay, because Frostwalker's obviously ice. And we're going to take out this, and we're going to put in the fire enhancement, all right? And give you all a bit of the Dora the Explorer vibe, okay? Can you find the fire enhancement? Point to the fire enhancement. I bet you guys love that. Okay, now we're gonna carry on, and we'll hit the Frostwalker. Okay, here we go. Again, I try to do these fights with no editing just in case I fail. You can see the failures as well. I actually cannot guarantee 100% on the Molten Fortress and the Gluttony because even my success rate with those techniques is about 75%. But I will be demonstrating them in shorts. I've already demonstrated the Molten one in shorts. If you want to check that out, you can on my channel. I can happily link you. There's a technique to it, and I'll try and demonstrate the technique here as well. All right? So when the fight begins, please do the standard thing. Drain your health down, okay? And just get it below 10,000. This is to trigger Walk Tightrope with Glay, which will obviously boost your damage. Trigger your unlimited ammo and go up high. Why high? You need to target a weak spot. So with Frostwalker, I find that it's very smart to target that shoulder weak spot and then go crazy like that. Alright? Just like that. And you can usually just one phase him. So no big deal. He's done. There you go. For Frostwalker and the Obstructor, these guys aren't a big deal. Alright, Frostwalker solo only has about like 19 million hit points, so this is really easy to do. It's the others you got to start worrying about a little bit because they have a bit more. Okay, this is done. Now I will go and show you Gluttony first because I already have all the fire stuff equipped on my gun. I can show you Gluttony first, and then I'll show you the Molten Fortress. Okay, like I said, these two will require a little bit of technique, just a smidge, but we can make that happen. So let's do that. Okay. And for Deathstalker, you end up being in a team fight, so I wouldn't recommend Glay anyway until they make Deathstalker solo. I hope they don't, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, off we go to Gluttony. Gluttony and Frostwalker obviously use the same elements because they're both ice elements, right? Makes sense. Okay. And of course, we're going for the one phase. That should be clear enough, but in case it wasn't clear, we will be going for the one phase. Okay. The one and only. Okie dokie day. Start by draining your health.
Feel my power.
Going to Glay, feel her power. Okay. Stand just past this shadow here. Alright. Slightly past it. That's because when he comes down, he does this. Now, you want to aim for his body, usually. And wait until the frenzy meter is almost full. Then once it is, then go for the kneecaps. Alright? If you do so, usually he will get knocked down. But it's better if he does a slam attack. If you do that, despite the amount of damage you do, he may not actually get knocked down, which is the only downside, I guess. But that's fine. Try to dodge his attacks unless you're very lazy like me, in which case, usually if he doesn't get knocked down, like I said, I've got about 75% success rate with this. I'll try and showcase it more. Like some people have already seen me do it on stream fairly consistently, but occasionally, all right, there is still a failure chance, and like I said, it's about 75% chance to do it perfectly. I will produce a short where I show the perfect methodology, but it's all about when you eventually decide to break the kneecap. It has to be just when he's about to frenzy, like just on the mark. Okay, but after this, all you gotta do at this point is just do the same thing, get him close, and then he's done. You can break the other kneecap if you end up not as close, but this is a simple two-phase, but it is possible to do it in one phase. If you need to see it, just ask on stream. I'll try and show it to you in more time than I have for this video. I don't want to edit this video because then it's a little bit unfair. Molten Fortress's technique is easier than Gluttony's, thankfully, because Gluttony, you have to really pay attention to the frenzy bar. Molten Fortress, though, you don't. Because Molten Fortress, all you have to do is just shoot the body, which is excellent. Here we go. Okay, now to prepare for Molten Fortress, we just swap over to a chill enhancement there, save. Then under Inversion Reinforcer, we go from Fire Focus to Chill Focus, right there. Okay, go straight into Molten Fortress. Now, Molten Fortress can also fail, because weirdly enough, if you hit the weak spots of Molten Fortress before he gets knocked down, he always phases. Always. Which is weird. But if you hit the body of Molten Fortress, somehow he will not phase until he gets knocked down. So we're going to apply that principle now, just like I showed you in the YouTube short already. And then we'll go from there. So let's get it done. First, continue to reduce your health to the appropriate level. Okay. Now the timing is right after his neck comes out. Activate your ammo and then just go ham. Now you may accidentally hit his face or something. That's totally okay. But just try to keep hitting the body and you should get knocked down once. Gets knocked down just like that, one face. Okay, so this at least succeeded, you know. Saved me a little bit of face, as they say, because otherwise I'd be super embarrassed, you know. Failing on both of these, damn. But Molten Fortress, Gluttony can also be one phased. Alright, and like I said, YouTube short will come out later tonight, and I promise you I'll showcase that. You can also check on stream. Okay, we're done. So that is how the Smithereens build works. Again, if you guys have a better build for the Smithereens, please let me know. Please let me know, because I'd be very, very interested to find out. Damn it, I forgot to talk to you guys about the weapon core. I guess there's going to be some editing, because I forgot to cover that. Okay, never mind. I'll cover that separately, and then you'll probably see this earlier than this statement is made, but enjoy. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Okay, I hope you guys will like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys haven't already registered me as your creator, please make sure to do so via the link in the video description. Okay, last but not least, we're going to thank all the people that have supported our streams. January's top supporter list includes CG Mayhem as our top tipper. Our top tipper list also includes Bravo7910, top super chatter list Lawbreaker. Top super chatter list includes D. Russ, Phil the Mega Pint, George Tishon, Chanel Name, Sir Tommy, Per Crab, BVS Fang. Thank you guys so much. Top channel membership gifters Arcane Silver 300. Top channel membership gifter list includes D. Russ, Joe D. Wilkins, and Chris Campbell. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do for me, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Weapon core will be covered soon.